Hello, folks. Welcome to the channel. Hope you're all doing well. And welcome to episode one of recommended albums to review. So, for the first album we're going to be doing, this was recommended to me by Vincent Badger, subscriber to the channel. I want to thank you very much for this suggestion. And we're talking about Tears for Fears and their stellar album, Songs from the Big Chair. Um, this record came out back in 1985, and this was a very, very big album, and I think this was their biggest selling record at the time. I don't think they've topped this in sales. This was all over the radio. This was a basically the soundtrack to my life back in 1985, first year of college. So I'm really happy to talk about this record because this was definitely something that was on the front burner at that time in 1985. Well, let's talk about the band. So you've got Roland Orzabal and Kurt Smith. Those are the two sort of faces of the band. But you also had at the time Manny Elias, who was the drummer, and Ian Stanley, who played keyboards and did backing vocals. And that was the band. But the face of the band was Roland and Kurt Smith at the time. Um, Going back and listening to this record really brought back, I should say, a bunch of memories. Um, right from the kickoff track, "Shout," I mean, that song starts off with the chorus, and, any song that starts off with the chorus, I mean, immediately that song starts off with the hook. Just a really powerful track. The Roland's vocals, and then Roland and Kurt, they always had that thing where their two voices together sounded really, really good together. And throughout the whole album, there's a lot of back and forth between the two. And that track just starts off, you know, very kind of, with just a strong vocal and that strong, that really beat. I mean, they used This is back in '85, so this was the days of electronic drums, some drum sampling, and real drum playing as well. And you've got that crazy good percussion going in the background, and this thing just kind of like builds and builds and builds. And starting off with this track, one thing you notice is, as a guitar player, I pick up on stuff like this. Like, there's some really good guitar work on this record, starting with this song. About two-thirds of the way in, Roland starts, playing this really cool solo. And I mean, it's just an absolutely stellar track. It was all over the radio, and for good reason. It was a really, really good song. The record as a whole, I should talk about the production here for a minute, is very much a record of the time. It has that very sort of kind of a glossy quality to the production, but not I'm not saying that in a negative way. Like, it works. Um, all the instrumentation, everything is sort of like right in your face. The drums, everything is like right up front. Everything is EQ'd perfectly. It's layered perfectly. The soundscapes that are created are absolutely fantastic. The musicianship on this record is stellar, top to bottom. And starting off with "Shout" as a killer track. Then from there we get into the working hour. All right, so this one starts off with some really, really beautiful saxophone playing that starts off the track and kind of carries through and does fills later on. Again, it's a beautiful song. It builds nicely. It's sort of a little bit less aggressive than, so it's a nice change from "Shout," which is kind of all sort of, kind of a little bit more, pulled back a little bit, but really cool song, really hooky. It's got some beautiful, beautiful melody in it. I mentioned some great sax playing, so that's a very, very cool song. The third song on this, "Everybody Wants to Rule the World." This was, I don't know if this was like the main single. I don't know if this or "Shout," they're sort of neck and neck, I don't know. But this is just really, the perfect pop song. Starts off with that nice rolling arpeggio, and then it kind of builds from there. It's got that thumping bass line that kind of propels the song, and again, a great tune. It kind of, these guys always have some really great dynamics in this song. And this actual song actually builds. It's got some power chords going there in the background and the bridge, and some beautiful little lines that Roland is playing. Just a really well done, really well orchestrated pop song. Like these guys, a lot of the times when I listen to 80s records, I find them a little bit dated. And I mean, they are using those 80s sounds, but that doesn't even really bother me with these guys because they were just seem to be on a completely different level. Like, their musicianship and their artistry, their songwriting is just so good that you kind of overlook, maybe some of the dated sounds. But yeah, everybody wants to rule the world is just a killer track. Then we get into Mother's Talk. So Mother's Talk is, it's got that kind of, I guess that's their sort of funk dance type of song. It's got some really good percussion in it. It's catchy. It's got a good melody to it. I think that did get a little bit of airplay as well. Not a bad song. Again, a different flavor to some of the other tracks on there. I guess that would be their more dance oriented song, but still a good song. Still good melody and good hooks to it. So not a bad tune at all. I believe that is, very sort of, again, they'll do something kind of upbeat and then they'll kind of pull it back a little bit. I believe, it's just pretty pared down, just piano and vocal, with Kurt Smith singing that would, and Kurt Smith, I should mention, actually both these guys are fantastic vocalists. And again, just a beautiful song. His vocal performance on this is absolutely fantastic. It still has those nice hooks to them. There's always some great melody, some great dynamics within the song. That's one of those songs that has all these false starts and stops, which is kind of cool. Then they do a song called Broken. And Broken is kind of it's kind of an instrumental, but then, there's parts of Head Over Heels kind of leaks into there, and it's sort of almost like I don't know, it's instrumental with a little bit of vocal, but with Head Over Heels melody, and it's almost like an intro to Head Over Heels. And Head Over Heels, for me, is the best song on this record. I don't think it got the amount of airplay that say Shout got, but that song for me is an absolute pop masterpiece. I mean, the whole structure of the song is fantastic. It's hooky as hell. Again, there's some really fantastic guitar playing there from Roland. Actually, also on I should mention too, on Mother's Talk, he takes off there and he does some really cool stuff on the Strat. If you listen closely, one thing with these guys is, I mean, there's all these fills, some keyboard fills, which are fantastic. Some of the breakdowns of the keyboards are amazing. The drums are fantastic. And there's all these little overdubs and all these little things. There's always a lot of stuff going on in these songs, right? So, if you really sit back and you listen to it, man, these guys are creating like just perfect freaking songs. And there's always something going on. There's always a change up, always a fill, or just really, really well arranged songs. And Head Over Heels again has this crazy good Roland playing on there as hell. Fantastic song. Um, and then it kind of ends back into like kind of broken. It goes back into that instrumental, sort of like a song within a song thing. But on the radio, they just play the Head Over Heels thing, on its own. But on the record, you get that sort of little bit of broken ahead of it and then a little bit of broken behind it. But anyway, and then the last track, Listen, that's the only one that, it's got kind of a, there's like a keyboard riff, and then they kind of put some sounds, and it's more or less like soundscapey. There's a little bit of vocal in there. I don't know. For me, that, not that it's a terrible song, but it kind of doesn't match the quality of the rest of the material on here because the other songs in here are just so damn good. Yeah, this is a really, really good album, and I mean, to me, this is like a slice of, a slice of history because this is like 1985, first year of college, so this brings back a lot of memories going back and listening to this. But let me look up how this did in terms of, certifications, because I think this was a massive, massive record. Um, 7 times platinum in Canada, France was gold, Germany was gold, platinum in Hong Kong, platinum Netherlands, platinum New Zealand, 3 times platinum in the UK, and 5 times platinum in the US. But these guys were just on a, I don't know, man, they were just on a different level. I mean, there was a lot of other bands that use the same type of sounds, the same type of textures, the electronic drums and the keyboard sounds and whatever, but these guys were just sort of on another level. They just seemed to be like just brilliant. I mean, that record is absolutely brilliant. It is a pop record, but it's a really, calling it pop kind of shortchanges it. It's like calling the Beatles pop, right? Not that I'm comparing them with the Beatles, but it just has so many elements and things going on, and the production is phenomenal. Like just a fantastic record, just a great slice from back in the day. So I hope you enjoyed that. Um, Please consider liking and subscribing. Please hit the thumbs up down there and the subscribe, and let me know what you would like me to review next. Put that in the comments, and we'll look at maybe keeping this thing going based on demand, right? If you guys want it, I'll again recommend another album to review, and I will do that. All right, thanks for watching. I will catch you next time. Cheers.